The human body has a natural response to fear. These include responding rationally, which is thinking, or emotionally, which is our feelings. Then in the situation, we will fight, flight, which is to run or freeze. So let's take a look at the emotional and the rational responses of the brain. So let's say the brain is made up of an emotional side and a rational side. The rational side is the side of the brain which we use most of the day as we go about our daily lives. It helps us to think things through, to plan what we are doing, and helps us to sensibly consider options before we make decisions. So it is thinking side of our brain. Now, the emotional side is what we use to help us to feel things like affection, love, sadness, and anger. Emotions are good and they make us human, but sometimes acting off emotion is not the most positive thing to do. So when things are normal, the brain is pretty balanced and we use both sides at the same time, as we normally both feeling and thinking things at the same time. If we become involved in a conflict situation, however, where we might get upset, angry, or even frightened, then the balance in our brain is disturbed and we start to use the emotional side more than the rational side. So this is a perfectly natural response to the situation, but it can be controlled. If we ourselves become too emotional in a situation, it will reduce our ability to think rationally, which may cloud our judgment and cause us to make unhelpful decisions. So if we can calm ourselves down through the rational side of the brain can now pick up, then we can start to deal with the situations more effectively. Likewise, if someone we are dealing with at work becomes too emotional in a situation, they may become very difficult to deal with unless we can calm them down first. So the fight or flight, or the fight, flight, or freeze response is a physiological reaction that occurs in responses to a perceived harmful event, attack, or threat to survival. So it is important that we understand what happens to ourselves and others when we are confronted by either conflict or by frightening or threatening situations. Only then can we plan what is the best way to react ourselves and how to treat others when conflict arises. If someone we are dealing with becomes angry and starts to threaten us, then our brains will automatically start to use the emotional side of the brain more than a rational side. It is the natural human response to a threat or potential threat to our well-being and safety. And if we did not get frightened in such situations, our brains and bodies might not be prepared to take the required action, and they may not be able to react quickly enough or in the proper way if we did actually need to protect ourselves. So when we become frightened, our bodies will automatically goes into what is called the fight or flight mode. This is because of the basic natural animal instincts inside us to help us to survive potentially dangerous situations. So the fight or flight prepares our brains and bodies to either fight, which is to stand and physically fight off an attack, or flight, which is to run away from the situation to keep ourselves safe. So during the fight or flight, we need to consider whether the person leaves the situation. Are they feeling trapped? Are they feeling cornered? The flight reaction is more likely when someone is threatened, so you need to consider whether your body language or verbal language is threatening and if you are invading their personal space. Now the body's autonomic nervous system kicks in during conflict, and this is the part of the nervous system that controls rapid, unconscious responses such as reflexes. It prepares for danger in different ways. If someone experiences either fight or flight responses, they'll develop a rapid breathing and heart rate, which allows the body to send more oxygenated blood to the muscles and brain, and in the case somebody needs to take physical action to escape danger. And this also increases blood pressure. Then you've got flushed or pale skin. So as the body redirects blood to key areas, a person may develop a paler face than usual, and it may alternate between pale and flushed. And tense muscles. So as the muscles prepare to move, they even become tense, which may cause shaking or trembling, and a muscle tension can create a constricted feeling in the throat and result in a person's voice becoming higher pitched than normal. They've got dilated pupils, so the pupils dilate to allow more light into the eyes, which allows someone to see better and observe their surroundings. Then they get a dry mouth, so constriction of the blood vessels around the mouth means that the salivary glands temporarily stop producing saliva, causing a dry mouth. Then we've got the freeze response, which involves a different physiological process than fight or flight. So while the person who is frozen is extremely alert, they're also unable to move or take action against a danger. So freezing causes physical immobility, a drop in heart rate rather than an increase, and muscle tension. An individual will freeze when faced with a threat, and this can happen to even the most experienced people.